Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a new thing that you have never seen before. If you don't know, I posted a song a few days ago called Osteoporosis. It's basically a lo-fi tune and I made it within 1 hour, and today I'm going to show you how. Maybe by the end of this video you'll be able to do the same, from knowing nothing at all to making a song like Osteoporosis. I mean, here's the song if you haven't heard it before. And yeah, this is how I made it. So basically, the process of this song had two parts. It was making the song and then slowing it down. The original song actually sounds like this. Sounds a lot happier almost. I started off with a piano sound, and I happened to bounce the piano sound as audio, so you don't actually get it as the MIDI. I can try and replicate the style of chords it was though. So if I bring up a grand piano, it was all just 7th chords pretty much. So I think the first one was like this. Nope, I forgot how I did it, but basically, moral of the story is that it's just 7th chords arranged in a particular order, and I think on the last chord, on this one here, on this one here, I think I added like more notes, so maybe it became a 9th instead, like this. So yeah, that's the chord progression. If I could, I would show you guys, but I forgot I happened to bounce it to audio, and pretty much everything here as well. Then, once you have some nice chords down and a nice piano sound that is wide, a good idea is to render it as audio and pitch that piano sound up, and then reverse the piano notes into each other, like this. So this is up 12 semitones, which is an octave, so it's the same note, just higher. From that to this. And then the notes are just going into each other like this. And then I took them out here and put them back in to create a bit of variety. Then here is the actual piano melody. It's a piano with a lot of reverb and a bit of delay on it. So in total, you kind of get something like this with the pianos. And once you got a nice melody like this, then the actual rest of the beat becomes easy. This is very important. You do want to spend some time learning music theory, learning a bit of this stuff, because it's important. If you don't have a good melody down, then how are you supposed to make a good song? You know, and obviously some nice sounds as well. I think I'll let go of my secret. I will leak the instrument I used for this. It was just the Labs piano. Spitfire Audio has an audio library called Spitfire Labs. There's a piano in it called the soft piano. It sounds like this. And it's very nice, very soft. What I did, I think, was actually group them and pan one to the left channel, pan one to the right channel. I'm sorry if this is a bit complicated for any non-music person right there, but basically one instance of the piano is playing in the left ear and one is playing in the right ear. And the one in the right ear, I'm actually delaying a little bit. So if I get my slapback echo, which is just a delay, I can delay it by 1 millisecond or 5 seconds. So I think I delayed it by like 50 milliseconds. Something like that, and then that causes a nice like stereo effect. This is with it and this is without it, see? And then on that there was a bunch of reverb like this, some room echo, and there was a delay, but for the delay, yeah, the delay wasn't on the chord piano, so a delay sounds like this, and there wasn't any of that. There was some on the melody here, but I actually faded it in so that it goes in between the spaces, so it goes da 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 da, and it like fills up the gaps. It happens later, it doesn't happen all the time. Kind of something like this. I automated it, so it went, then it went up, and then back down again, and then it went up. If that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making sense to anyone watching who doesn't really understand music production, but I'm trying my best. That's basically the gist of how I created these pianos. I didn't even create them, they're just samples that I manipulated a little bit. And another important thing, on this chord piano sound, I put an EQ that looks something like this. It cuts out the lows and it cuts out the highs at the same time, creating a very mid-rangey effect, almost like a radio. So that's a more intense version of it. So if I did it on this, because I actually took it off for the melody, it would sound like that. And then the drums. I actually programmed these myself because a lot of the time when people make lo-fi hip-hop music, they take a drum loop and they just write a melody or even steal a melody sometimes and just kind of, roll with it. Put a beat, stolen melody, and then like an improvised bass line or whatever. Maybe even a stolen bass line or just the bass line from the song that they're stealing from. They just roll with it. But I actually made these drums myself. Oh, I organized these drums myself. So the actual individual drum sounds aren't mine, but I did like make the pattern for them, and I chose the sounds, and that is very important. Some people can make their own drum sounds, but I don't do that because I think it's really difficult. Yeah, it was like one of these kicks, and then a snap, and then some hi-hats. That was the one probably. Yeah, that was the one exactly, and then just organized them into a pattern like this. And I offset the kick a little bit off the grid to give a little bit of swing to it. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, and then there's just a little bass line using an acoustic bass line. And I think that was actually from here, basses, bass guitar. Yeah, there's like singular guitar strings. So this is actually the one. That's the same bass. I just EQ'd it a little bit. And that's it. But then here's the kicker. There's this effect called isotope vinyl, and this effect simulates the sound of vinyl records. So it has an EQ on it, and it brings in some noise and some crackles and stuff. So this is what it sounds without, and this is what it sounds with. Here it's actually very subtle, but you can tell the bass is less bassy with it on, which is what would usually happen with record players. And there's some of these crackles and stuff in there, which is nice. Didn't add any noise though. Maybe I should have. Oh, and also, by the way, there was a key change in here. So I just pitched it up 2 semitones. I pitched all of these up 2 semitones and made it the same thing, but in a higher pitch. Instead of... So yeah, rendered all of that. Then I got this boy right here. And then I put some mid-range cutting EQ and a bit here on the top end. And then put a maximizer on it, a limiter. And that was it. This is just a spectrum analyzer. And that is how I made Osteoporosis. I hope at least one of you found this useful. And maybe you learned a little bit about melodies, structure, sounds, went over the widening trick, the key change. That's something I do a lot. That is nice. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and I will see you later.